What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building. You feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks. All right, let's get straight right into it. So, the first thing I'm gonna be talking about is I'm just getting tired of, I'm getting tired of the narrative that's being drawn out, and this is how it goes, especially for LeBron James type of teams. They always find a scapegoat. Frank Vogel's being one of them right now, which I think is absolutely incorrect. This is the same guy that won a ring with them. The same ring that they say is one of the most impressive rings, where I say it's the biggest cap ring of all time. Like, that bubble ring is straight cap, and it's not due to the outside circumstances from off the court. Like, obviously the off the court mental games that the players had to go through and had to endure is obviously, something that was definitely difficult, and, being away from your family and stuff like that. But, to me, off the court, like, again, even in a regular season situation or a regular normal situation, right, without COVID or anything like that, you've seen Isaiah Thomas, with his sister died, had to still in the playoff game go out there and play. Like, you've seen players that have had trials and tribulations during the off the court, during the playoffs, but still have to play. Yes, they might be around family or they might be away from family, but still there's certain type of dynamics that is similar to being away from family. There's people who have missed family, like meaning and death and stuff like that, and have to go to funerals and play the next day. And that's been happening not only just regular season, but in playoffs, right? So to use now, because they're in a bubble, to now say, oh my God, they've been away for a home, to now use that as an actual selling point into why the ring is the most difficult ring is hella cap, because they never use that kind of context or that kind of just focusing on the outside court issues in order to say whether this ring is important or not. They never done that. So I'm not going to dive into that. We always care about on the court and the circumstances on the court, because that affects the game drastically right there in front of your eyes, right? Off the court always affects the game. That's why you can't pick and choose to use it now in a bubble, but then all the other times it didn't matter for other people just because they weren't in a bubble. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's where I'm like, we're not going to do that. I'm not even off the court. Forget that. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about on the court. On the court, the bubble was straight ease compared to the circumstances that it would have been without a bubble, where you have the fans. Even just the fans in itself as an atmosphere changes the whole game. You have road, home games. Like, they were just neutral games. Mans were in the same place, just come through with slides on and, go play. Like, the whole environment, the whole game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4 all felt like the same games. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no dictation from the crowd. There was no drastic different environment that affects the game right there at hand. The boost, the refs calls, all that type of stuff, right? Not to mention the actual shooting ability. You know what I'm saying? When you have a backdrop, if you really hoop, you know what I'm about to say. If you have a backdrop, it's shooter's paradise. The depth perception of the shot and of the net that you could see is hella easier, and it's advantageous for the shooter, which is why you saw AD splash, if you ask me, high percentages, bare people shooting high percentages, KCP, etc. Now KCP and all these guys can't shoot, and they have worked on their shot, but you've seen the next year versus Phoenix where they splashy like the bubble. No. So there's context to it, right? There's you have to really dissect and dive in and break down the levels to everything and what's actually enhancing and what's cap, what's fake. What, you know what I mean? That's what you got to analyze. And that's where, when you're in if you're in an actual arena, behind the backboard, there's the crowd, there's everybody. So even free throws, mans that were making free throws in the bubble would have missed a 1-2. Role players play great at home and rarely play good on the road. So that would affect, there's so many things that would have been affected, right? In terms of just the dynamic was straight easier on the court in the bubble. So when you look at that, looking at the crowd, you see a man, waving, man's talking shit on the sideline. They have signs. You have to look at that while you're shooting. The depth perception is different because you're seeing mans. You're not seeing a wall that helps. You know what I mean? When you see the wall, okay, I can see where this is. I can throw it. I can aim better. That's all, that wasn't a part of it. So that changes the game drastically, right? So just that in itself makes the bubble cap. And that's why I said it's one of the most cap rings of all time, just from on the court aspect and perspective side of things. So when you look at that, Frank Vogel and everyone else's eyes was, oh my God, he got them a ring. Shouldn't it enhance him? Shouldn't it boost him? Why is he now in the hot seat for what? Shouldn't it be that he should be absolved because he clearly won a ring with a roster that going into it couldn't shoot? They were having struggles and stuff like that in that same Lakers roster, and all of a sudden like this, they won the ring. So doesn't he get credit for that? They gave him credit for that, but now all of a sudden it's like they're saying the bubble ring is so important, so that should give more value to Frank Vogel. But then in the same breath now, they dismiss the bubble ring and act like Frank Vogel's a weak coach. They actually dismiss the ring. So then what are we talking about? Do we know the bubble ring is capped? Because the bare of you mans love this player, love the LeBron, love this guy. So the bubble ring's not capped. But you're saying it by saying Frank Vogel should be fired. You're basically saying the bubble ring is capped. But anyways, we're not going to focus on that. The main thing is the media is creating these narratives that they're running from the truth. Basically, that's what it is to hide. They do this all the time. They did this in Cleveland with Kevin Love. They did this in Miami with Chris Bosh. They find a scapegoat. They even were trying to say it was Eric Spoelstra, remember, before, Pat Riley had to sign off and say, yo, we're not moving this guy. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Find a way. They did the same thing with David Blatt. Y'all must have forgot about David Blatt, huh? That's how Ty Lue came. Like, they find a scapegoat, you know what I'm saying? And this is what happens. And it comes with the LeBron fans in the LeBron territory. It just comes with it, right? This is what they do. So it's not LeBron himself. It's just the fan base, the media. Like, they just, you know what I mean? They create these narratives to absolve what really is the issue. What really is the issue, they're trying to focus it on and say it's Russell Westbrook. That's cap. That's cap tackler. That's hella cap. You know what I'm saying? How is it Russell Westbrook when he's the same man? Let's really dive into Russell Westbrook for a second, because a lot of people don't understand, and they let media create, a narrative, and basically they're plugged in the matrix, and whatever the media is saying on the computer and updated the software, and what they're doing is you're just feeding into their brain, whatever it is, they run with it, and that's what it is. Like, you can literally talk to a man, and mans will say structured sentences that media has been saying, or that a commentator said, or that this man said, and they don't even have a brain of their own. They can't actually think. You know what I'm saying? When you actually talk to mans, that's why I'm like, I already know where you lie just off the first sentence. You know what I mean? They say the same thing. So it's like, it's rinse and repeat instead of actually a breakdown into, where's your own mind? What's going on? Can you see through the bullshit? You know what I'm saying? But I can. So that's why I'm here for that IQ, because that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? But let's really look at it. The past, 3 teams that Russell Westbrook was on, you look at it, he always, even though, like, you got to understand, if you give Russell Westbrook the perfect situation, even not necessarily the perfect situation, if you just let him be himself and you adjust your team to basically cover some of the weaknesses or the deficiencies that he might have, like they do for Giannis, like they do for LeBron. You already know LeBron's teams has always been one way. This is the first complete different team, LeBron team, you've actually seen. LeBron teams most of the times have been a big that could shoot, right? Or a 4 that could shoot and could play the 5 and the 4, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, AD, right? And then they have a 5 that maybe Tristan Thompson or, Birdman or whoever, Joel Anthony, that might not be able to do that, but they could at any time switch it, right? So they could cover both grounds. You could cover inside big, you play Joel Anthony, you play Tristan Thompson, you play Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee. But then what happens? When it's real time, it's fourth quarter or whatever, you move the 80 to the 5. You move the Kevin Love to the 5. You move the Chris Bosh to the 5, and that creates space, and then LeBron has the whole paint to operate, and then you overhelp. He dimes to his shooters, and they're splashy if you ask me. Then he has one shot creator killer, Kyrie, Dwayne Wade with him. That's gonna, you already know what time it is. And so when you look at it from that perspective, that's been the blueprint for all LeBron's teams. Wherever he goes, that's what he tries to create. And this is the first team that you see be complete opposite, right? If Westbrook had a shot creating bag like Wade, he could maybe transition to a Wade type of game. But Westbrook isn't that. Westbrook and LeBron are the same players, right? In terms of obviously not their stats or, and all that type. No. Obviously, LeBron's a better version of that player, but he's the same. They're the same build. They're the same archetype. They're the same type of player. They have the same weaknesses. Obviously, their overalls or their ratings in each type of attribute, is higher for LeBron. They both struggle at shooting, but In the struggle at shooting, LeBron's shooting is still better than Westbrook. So we're not going to dive into that. But just looking at overall, summing it up, looking at the weaknesses that they both have and the strengths that they have, it's the same. It's the same. It's the same. Same build. Athletic, going to the paint and abuse. That's my main strength. Westbrook, Bron, they do that. If you want to guard me, my weakness is shooting. Bron is a better shooter, but that's what the defense is going to, their both weakness is shooting. Let's be honest, right? And free throws. Let's be honest. But they both have vision, LeBron's vision is better, but they play make and they get assists and get dimes. Flirt with triple doubles, get rebounds. Like they're the same build. They're literally the same build. One's a point guard version and one's a power forward, small forward version, a wing version, right? Your point forward version. And they're the same build. It's just, you know what I mean? Obviously, LeBron is a way better version of that build. But when you look at it from that perspective, how can you have the same build, the same type of player be on one team when you're now making one of those players is going to have to sacrifice and be in their weakness? Meaning, I'm going to have to be a spot-up shooter at times. I'm going to have to, space the floor at times. If you had to choose, wouldn't you choose the better shooter in LeBron to be the one spotted up and let Westbrook ball handle and be himself still and have LeBron dive more into his skilled shooting bag because he's done it before? In terms of just like shot creating, he has it. More than Westbrook, obviously. Wouldn't that be, if this was to work, that would be the way to make it work? People saying Westbrook needs to do this and slash and whatever. No, LeBron can spot up. LeBron, let him do that stuff. He's the better shooter. Why would you have Westbrook play off the ball when that will shrink the floor for LeBron and shrink the floor for other players, and he's going to be in his weakness situation looking like Ben Simmons? That don't make no sense. What makes sense is make the guy ball handle. It's the same thing they did with Harden. What did they do? They adjust. They went small ball, trade Capella, get out of here, go small ball, let Westbrook go downhill and have the whole paint to himself, and a big man is guarding him because all the other people are on the perimeter. So the big's going to guard the weakest shooter, which is Westbrook, and he's blowing by. He's killing them one-on-one, killing Gobert, killing all these bigs. And what happened? He snapped the last half of the season, turned a terrible situation into a better situation, maximize it, get in the 4th seed. In OKC, when KD left, everybody left, he turned a bad situation into a better situation. 6th seed, got the MVP. Went to Wizards. At the beginning of the season, it was bad, injuries, whatever. At the last half, he snapped, turned it into a better situation and maximized it. Went from the 9th seed in the play-in and actually got the 8th seed. Meaning they had to win 2 straight games. So he maximized every situation he's been in. This whole narrative that he's killed these last 3 teams and did it. Like, what are man's talking about? What are man's watching? It's clear that the blueprint for Westbrook is let him do that. He can't play any other way. And that's what my knock, and the difference between LeBron and KD in my eyes, and not even my eyes, just Hooper's perspective. You really watch the game. It's so different to be able to play different play styles and just seamlessly do it with ease. KD can easily go to Team USA. You've seen it. With ease, his game translates. OKC with ease with Westbrook and Harden. Without Westbrook, without Harden, with just Westbrook. The ease. Nothing changes. The ability is always there. Can play in any play style. Goes to Golden State, fits seamlessly. Can play in any play style. Goes to Brooklyn, fits seamlessly. Can play in any play style. Plays with the new James Harden. He can, come on now. That's what makes him so different. And why his teams are always maximized to his max potential. Because he lets mans be themselves. KD, basically. LeBron has killed a lot of players. Let's be honest. The K-Love. You know what I'm saying? The list can go on. I'm not even going to go through that. But I'm saying because he plays the one way, it's about my play style. I play this way. I'm going to get my stuff. I'm going to get my stats. I'm going to get what I get. And then everybody else fit in where you fit in. And that's what Kobe said about LeBron. Remember that one year when he was with the Cavs and he had Jordan Clarkson and all that other stuff. And Kobe literally said, yo, you have to maximize everybody. You have to sometimes change your play style. There's no, let Jordan Clarkson go get a bucket. Let Rodney Hood go get a bucket. You spot up a 1-2 time. Let mans eat. Instead of running the same, it's me, run that offense. Yes, you're going to get your 50. You're going to get this. But is the team winning? And that's what you're seeing LeBron transition into right now. He's playing out of his mind. And I even rate him even more because he was being more of a skilled shooter and he's doing more, he's adding more to the bag or going back to the bag. You know what I'm saying? The long lost bag. You see him actually being a skilled shooter in a lot of scenarios and a lot of situations on this 29 PPG, that he's had in his highest since 2010 and all that type of stuff. But the team's not winning. Sometimes it's not just about the one man. Sometimes you have to sacrifice or be elite and still be elite in a different scenario because that guy is going to be maximized and that's going to better help the team. I'm telling you, if Westbrook has the ball and is running downhill and playing the way he plays, yes, he might have a 1-2 turnover. And the funny thing is his turnovers are the same as he's been having in every year. Like, it's not no more different because he's on the Lakers. They highlight it. You know what I'm saying? They try to bash him and that's what they're trying to do. But if you let Westbrook ball handle and be himself, go for that triple-double, whatever, and all that type of stuff. The funny thing is if you go look when he has a triple-double, he's winning like 70-80% of the games that he has a triple-double in. So that tells you that's his MO. It's not just about the triple-double. It's about that's what he feels and that's what he believes. And not only believes, that's what it is. That's what it is for his team to best win is when he's playing like that, operating at that level and energy level. And just, and in order to do that, he needs the ball to ball handle and make the decisions and whatever. It doesn't mean he's always holding the rock because he played with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal will get his ISOs. Harden will get his ISOs. But majority of the time, the usage and me running the ball and stuff like that, it's give it to me. And LeBron could go in the post, go in the corner, come off a pin down, like do those actions, be a skilled shooter, dive into that bag and let Westbrook be himself. But they're not really doing that. LeBron, for the most part, is running the ball. He is. He always is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, at times he gives it to Westbrook. Yes, at times THT bring it up. Yes, at times, you know what I mean? Other mans bring it up. But like for the most part, it's LeBron, like especially when they went to small ball. So they could have more space so LeBron and Westbrook could go to the paint. That's why they did that. But then what happens? You're giving up rebounds. You're giving up, offensive rebounds. Or you're giving up just no rim protection, period. Like, man's coming to the paint, they walk into the paint. And it's not like your perimeter D is hella lockup that they get into the paint less. Your perimeter defense is fugazi, so they're getting into the paint at ease. And then you got to help because there's no rim protector. So now the three-point shot gets kicked out. Like, it's just chain reaction. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at some point, you have to understand that Westbrook isn't the problem. How he's being used is the problem. And that trickles down to LeBron and trickles down to, I don't even think Frank Vogel. I think mainly it's LeBron because LeBron, he runs things. It's LeBron and Pelinka and all those other guys who made these decisions. One, you brought him on board knowing what his game is like and thought he's going to play in a different play style. And it's good. Like that's why I said when this roster came out, I was one of the only men saying this shit is anus. This is only going to be, I don't care whoever they have, if they compile Malik Monk, they put all these guys, Melo, everybody, all these other shooters and whatever. And even those shooters, they're not like they're defenders. But even then, forget that. You bring all the shooters. At the end of the day, the ending lineup, you're going to have Westbrook and Brown on the court. So you're going to have two guys that they're going to sag off. And then not only on top of that, you add AD where man sag off him as well too. So the floor and the court is shrinking to the max. It's hella small. Mans are just sagging off two mans at all times. If one has the ball, if LeBron has the ball, sag off AD, sag off Westbrook. If Westbrook has the ball, sag off AD, sag off Bron. If AD has the ball, sag off Bron, sag off Westbrook. That's what mans are going to do. When it was only AD and LeBron, that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, AD, even if him, oh my God, it's better lineup, we'll put him at the 5, there's more space. Yes and no. AD is not, as much as AD is a better player or way better player than Chris Bosh and Kevin Love, and I won't say hella way, but the arsenal that he provides and that he is like, yes, he's a once in a lifetime type of talent. The ability he has, guard-like ability and a big body, like he's literally from the KD tree if you actually dissect AD's game. But he isn't the shooter that K-Love is. He isn't the shooter that Chris Bosh was. So when you have him spacing out as the 5-man, it's not the same as when Chris Bosh was spacing out. They're splashy if you ask me. K-Love spacing out. Splashy if you ask me. AD, he's hit or miss from 3-point line. Like, that's not his strength. You want him shooting that. The midi, face up. Oh my God, butter. But from 3-point line, you sag off that shit. That's why in the bubble when you're splashing all of those, I'm like, okay, I smell Capri. I smell cappuccino. Is it the morning time? Wake up. Smell the coffee, fam. Like, you gotta understand, man, like, these things. So it's like, now when you add that layer on top of it, that's why even when AD, Westbrook, and Brown were there together, it wasn't working. And you see they were losing. AD was looking fugazi. Westbrook was looking fugazi. Brown was still killing as a skilled shooter, which, was great. But the fact that he's killing and they're still losing tells you, because most of the times when LeBron's killing, they don't be losing. His teams don't be losing. Let's be honest. Unless it's like finals or whatever. But like most of the times, even regular season, like that's not happening. The man's eating and he's still losing majority of the games. Like, what does that tell you? And the only games they're winning is versus bombs or the lower seed teams. Like, you got to understand something, man. Like, so when I dissect this and I look at this, Westbrook is far from the problem. One, their defense is fugazi. Hella, for me and Mans talk about the Nets defense. Talk about the Lakers defense, because the Nets, bruh, their defense is not that bad like this. This is walk in the park. This is red carpet, fam. Defense is anus. Then the rim protection that would be there is eliminated because Brown's at the 5. And then when you do have, let's say you play, what's it called, Dwight Howard and stuff like that, what happens? There's no spacing. So it's like, whatever you do well, you're sacrificing on the other end. You can't do both well at the same time, which means the roster collectively is fugazi. You should be able to play good defense and still have offense at the same time. That means you have a great roster. There's a balance. If they decide to focus on defense, they have no offense. If they decide to focus on offense, they have no defense. That's a poorly constructed roster. That's what that tells you. You should be able to do both, or at least a lead in one, mediocre in the other. They're anus in all categories. So when you look at it, man, it's just they're trying to blame Westbrook. Take it in. They even sit Westbrook and they still be losing. We're like, what are we talking about? What are we really talking about? Like, it's just the narratives. Like, you can't let media fool you. You can't. Don't be plugged in the matrix. Unplug, fam. Choose the right pill. Like, come on, man. You can't let them just brainwash you. Westbrook is far from the problem, man. He's been actually maximizing successful in his other last 3 teams. His last 3 teams he's been on, he finished off well with them. In terms of he maximized the situation. Even with Paul George too, he maximized the situation. They lost to Dame and them, like he maximized the situation for what he has at hand. So you can't look at Westbrook. I understand, yes, he's fugazi as shooter and he has weaknesses, whatever. But don't some of your favorite players, don't they have that too? Doesn't Giannis have that too? What are we talking about? And this is why I say the same thing with the Ben Simmons argument. Like, Westbrook is looking like Ben Simmons right now. So don't you think if Ben Simmons had a Westbrook situation where he could be the point guard, the spacing, and I could be like, don't you think he's going to look like Giannis? He's going to, come on now. Like, that's why I'm like, anyway, that's a different discussion. But the onus of the bulk of the blame for this Lakers disaster is definitely LeBron, the Rob Pelinka, whoever put the roster together from the organization. Like, it's a lot of them. And the player that signed off on it, you already know, is LeBron. He needs to be getting the blame for this. As much as he's killing, he needs to be getting the blame for this. Don't praise him for, he maneuvers the team and maneuvers this and he's trading this guy and he's getting all these guys together and they praise him when it works. But when it don't work, it's Westbrook's fault. Come on now. That's what we doing? I promise you, if LeBron just goes off the ball and lets Westbrook be Westbrook, you'll see a whole different Westbrook. You'll see a whole different Westbrook. But the Westbrook you see right now, dog, you're making Westbrook be a shooter, fam. Like, dog. And then that's why mentally he's not confident. He's not comfortable. So that's why he's missing even bunnies. And it's just a chain reaction, man. That you got to understand. If you understand hoops, when you're not right, when you're not comfortable, when you're mentally off because you're overthinking and it's like he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. So now even bunnies, even easy things he normally makes, he misses. Hit that shot that you see him bricking off the backboard. What he's trying to do is he's trying to bank it in. That's his bread and butter. If you really watch Westbrook, he literally he pulls and banks that goes in a lot of the times. He shoots high percentage on those. But now it's Kablunski. Where's my lunch, B? I'm hungry. Like, that's what's happening right now. Brick City. Because he's mentally off. Then you add the scrutiny and you add all, like, come on now, man. Like, when have you seen Westbrook not trying to talk to the media? If anything, talks to the media and he's son's mans. That's Westbrook. He says it with his chest. Now he's skipping media days? Like, come on now. Like, dog. It is what it is, man. Like, I hope mans are paying attention. You know what I mean? I hope mans are understanding what the real is and not getting finessed. A lot of people are getting finessed by media. They're steering you the wrong way for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Bro, but anyways, you already know it's True Talks, because True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. There's no drought here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. Again, click the notification button so you know when I'm here. Because I'm here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. Click the links below. Follow my social media platforms, the podcast, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. And I'm out, man.